Hey, we're here. I think we're live, Fabio.
Finally.
Back again.
Okay, we had a few problems setting this workshop up, but it seems like everything. Oh, somebody has
Sorry,
the.
somebody, you're gonna have to either put headphones on. Sorry, real quick. You're gonna have to put headphones on or mute the live stream because we can hear it. Val
It's
or
probably me. It
Samuel.
was probably
Yeah.
me. Yeah, it's muted. It's muted.
Okay.
Sorry.
You,
Okay.
you don't need to watch yourself, it's just gonna distract you.
So
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
just go ahead and get these guys on the screen. I think
Yes,
it's a good
because
idea.
we kept them waiting for too long.
So, Val and Samuel, welcome to the D2 Online. Sorry we had a few technical problems there to start out. Again, it seems like it always happens.
No worries.
But we're ready to go, and let's make this short and sweet. And I will turn it over to you guys, and you guys can introduce yourself and get started. And we are here if you need anything, so just holler if you need something.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you
Okay.
very much, guys.
Yep.
It's a pleasure to be at D2. We're a small company. We're in the company of all these giants here. So, well, let's get started. My name is Val Dess. I'm a software engineer and the founder of hauzd. And today I'm joined by Samuel Rodriguez, who is
Hi, this is
our
Samuel speaking, customer success manager at hauzd. Thanks for participating, and thanks a lot to Jason and Fire for the invitation to this amazing event.
So I'm going to start with a brief introduction to hauzd, and what is hauzd, what it is that we do, and we'll go from there. So let's start the slides. Let's go to the next one, Samuel. Yeah. Just a second. All right. So why hauzd? We are a relatively young software development company with technology base that has roots in game development, but the end product is very different from what you are most likely used to. Archviz professionals use hauzd platform to deliver a sales tool to their real estate clients. A sales tool is an interactive application that has entire buildings, every single floor plan, price list, galleries, location information. Everything is captured in order for the real estate client to present and to make sales. Let's see it actually right here in the small video that you see. So we're running, this is a direct capture of one of our presentations. It's actually a real presentation. So entire building is captured. It's all interactive, live 3D. There are many features. You can filter the property by certain criteria. Right now we're filtering by area, by bedrooms. You can highlight certain things. You can color code it by what's available, what's sold. And then it's very interactive. So you select what you're interested in, you jump right in. You have access to every single floor plan of the property is inside. It's all 2D, 3D, dimensions. In this case, we have duplex apartments. So, both floors are there, of course. Everything is modeled, and everything can be seen and can be explored. Right now, we are accessing amenities in this particular case, right? We see the entire floor. I think they have actually a video studio in there. And of course, so all the marketing stuff, such as your renders, the typical renders, everything is in the presentation. There are things like price list, of course, which basically gives you quick access to a whole inventory of projects. Project specifications, location information. We are about to see, I think, the surroundings and everything that's around the property. Everything, absolutely everything goes inside the application. So that's specifications. well, contact, of course. So, you know, you can directly reach out to the real estate from within the presentation. And now we're seeing all the things that are around. So, you know, the schools, the restaurants, shopping centers, everything that a person who is interested in buying a property would want to know, everything is inside the app. All right. And so with hauzd, professionals, archviz professionals can extend their portfolio. And instead of just producing renders and videos, you can offer this kind of sales tool to your clients as well. And if we go straight down to the money and talk about the ticket price, of course, it varies based on project size. And if you're just making a presentation from images, or you're actually doing, you know, full 3D. But for a medium tower, let's say about 100, 150 units, usually real estate developers pay around $20,000 to $25,000 for such presentation. Of course, you know, it varies depending on the country where the project is located. And if you're doing, you know, if you're doing just an app from images, from renders, then, you know, the price can go down 2 times easily. And as hauzd, we simply charge the license fee for the software, but and, you know, your transaction with your client is completely private, and that is your business, and we're not part of it in any way. The production time for presentation that you just saw, for example, a medium tower, it's about 3 weeks for one artist. Of course, sometimes, you know, companies can do work in parallel and have 2 artists, one working on exterior, one working on interior scenes. And if you're doing an interactive app from images, you can have something up and ready in a matter of a day, really. If you have, provided you have the renders ready, of course, and the floor plans ready. And so what does it take to produce such presentation from your side? First of all, there is absolutely no programming. All you need is your 3D modeling skills, and most of the process is drag and drop of your asset into our engine. Besides, of course, you know, you set up the structure of your real estate project, but that's about it. We have built our engine from scratch. We are not based on any game engine. It is extremely light. Our executable size on web version, for example, it's just 1 megabyte in size. It runs on absolutely everything. So this presentation is a simple link, and that link, when accessed on any device, will run. It can be a web browser. You can access it on mobile, in which case it will launch apps which have augmented reality available. So you will actually have those mock-ups right on the desk in front of you. I think later on we will see videos of that. Of course, if it's a sales office, if we ever go back to having regular sales office, you can also have really big computers with big touch screens for people to interact with. And our engine, it's a hybrid cloud engine, meaning that you install a thin client where you do the work, but then once you save, all your work goes up to the cloud, and all the assets are actually stored on the cloud. And what that allows us to do is our platform takes care of all the different hardware texture formats. We do all kinds of optimizations in order so that the final presentation is as small as possible. You don't have to worry about any of that. So all this, you know, different platform publishing is completely taken care of. All that you do is you just focus on the 3D modeling part, and that's it. So from now on, I'm going to let Samuel take control, and he's going to jump into more technical details of the solution and take you through the process of actually setting something up using our software.
All right, perfect. I hope you can all hear me. So let's start. So what can I create with hauzd? There are two types of interactive apps we can create. We have the 2D interactive app and interactive 3D app. It is important to mention that both apps has exactly the same features and add-ons included. The only difference is in how we are going to work and the type of assets we are going to import into the editor. For the interactive 2D app, we are only using 2D images, rendered images made with V-Ray, Corona, or whatever you want to use. We can see a couple of seconds on this video, which is an app we have online based on 2D images. So you can see there's an apartment. We can select exactly as 3D. We can see the floor plan in 2D. We can see the measurements. And we can also have all the features we saw before: maps, list, information, images, 360 views, filters, basically everything else. This is the type of application that is easier to build. So it takes just a couple of weeks to make something like this. Then we have the interactive 3D apps, which uses 3D assets made with Maya, maybe 3ds Max, Cinema 4D. We have several software compatibilities to make this happen. We only need the FBX files and import it into the editor. We can see as well a small video of it. It's basically the same sample. We can see it's a 3D immersive scene with the same features, with filters, maps, basically exactly the same, but in 3D. We can still see the floor plans, all these things inside, rotate the floor plans, see the measurements, the 2D assets. So we can move on to the next slide. So it's also important to mention that hauzd has an admin panel where you and your real estate client can create and manage projects, update pricing, availability of units, all in real time. Once you modify any fields or any data in the admin panel, it will be automatically synced with the application, with the online application. Connect with CRM, visualize statistics. We can see which units have been visited more by the users, which devices are using to visualize the app, and modify labels and other visual aspects of the application. We have a known domain for this, which is admin.hauzd.com, and you and your real estate client can have users and basically do everything that we have just saw. So what are the hardware requirements for this? As Val mentioned, we have compatibilities for all devices. So hauzd is designed to run in medium to low-end devices, from Android devices from around 2010 and newer. So to use and run hauzd editor and build the whole app, we just need a Windows system, so we can install the hauzd editor and configure all the aspects of the application before packaging and make it online. And requirements are quite simple. We don't ask for much. Basically, for minimum requirement, just a dedicated graphic cards is recommended. For only 4 GB of RAM, and a basic Intel i3 or superior or A series AMD processor. For the hauzd viewer app, which is the app you will use to run the finished application, which is the application after the package, after it's online. For Windows, it's basically a standalone, which is really, really low and in size, and is a lot of optimized. In Android mobiles, only Android 5 or newer. For big touch screen, we can use Windows 8 or newer, just with a capacity touch screen, basic iOS mobile devices, and web. Basically, all the browsers are compatible with hauzd final app. So when creating an interactive app, we already know that it's faster in production. You can use your own realistic renders. It's a complete real estate selling tool for your client. No programming required, smallest subscription fees, which is another difference compared to the 3D app. And of course, all features are completely available to use. So we're gonna watch a small video and seeing all the process of configure all this application. Creating an interactive app from scratch. So we're using the renders that you and your team are already producing. It doesn't matter if you use V-Ray, Corona, Lumion, whatever, you will only need the final images in JPEG or PNG format. Before starting this process, it is important to remember that hauzd applications are, of course, designed to work with several devices. We must take this into account for all the static renders that we are going to produce. This means that probably certain commercial images won't be the best for this. For example, these views from corners, you can see there are several units that are kind of hidden from the user view. So this interaction won't be functional at all for scenes or stereo scene, because on a small iPhone 5 it's probably really hard to click on this small unit here in this corner. So ideally, all the units of a building should be perfectly at the reach of the end user. You can see all these units are really easy to click on it and to modify. We have another capture for it. Basically, we can render all the 4 views of the building instead of doing corner views or high visual impact views. We have a full article dedicated to this in our help desk. We also have a help desk, help.hauzd.com, where you can see all the documentation regarding how to do applications and everything. Okay, we will now inspect the assets that we're going to use to create this project. We can see that we have 8 indoor plans and 1 key plan. They are just images. Then in this separate folder, we have grouped all our exterior views. Most of these images are on PNG format with transparent backgrounds. You will see later how this will be very useful. We have rendered the 4 views of the building. And we have another folder for 360 views and another one for regular static renders. And yes, this will be more than enough to make a hauzd application in no time, just simple images. So creating the exterior scene and first run, let's begin. After creating our project in admin panel, we can open it in the hauzd editor. It will be available for us. So we're gonna open scene blueprints and scenes. Scene blueprints contains basically all the settings for the scenes, such as cameras, illumination, if it's using 2D asset or 3D assets. So we're gonna create one, and we're gonna set it as a building. Then the scene asset type, we're gonna define it's an image base because we're using a static render, and we're gonna create a name which cannot start with a number or have any other special characters. So we're gonna call it just building 1 and leave all the settings by default for now. Click OK. Then we're gonna create the scene, which will be the visual scene that will show up in the application. We're gonna define that it's a building again. We can use the same name, building 1, and we're gonna set the scene blueprint that we just created. Click OK. Then we go to edit scene, and here is where we're gonna build all the all the images and create basically the whole scene. We're going to create the first view, which will be the front. I'm going to call it just front and set the rotation to front, and this will automatically set the angle to this orientation to be a front scene. I'm going to drag the skybox, which is also important. This can be a JPEG or PNG image, and we're going to just drag and drop it into this field over here. It can be of any size. In this process, in this importing process, it will automatically compress the asset to fit the skybox and to display on the web. Okay, we can see it now. So I'm gonna drag the mountains, a mountains image, which will be a background, and just drag it to the field, to the drag and drop field. It's finished. And we're going to import building as well, which is the PNG of the building. We can just drag and drop and images will be imported. Now we have some gizmos to move the assets, the images around. We can scale it as well. Using these gizmos, we can easily create a layered effect and give some depth to the scene. So let's position, and we can see how they all moving differently. We also have this module, which is the camera. This can be automatically set up with using the images, which is in this case is building. You can see this set camera bounce check here. If we don't check it, we can configure all data manually. Okay, so now we are gonna create the blueprint and the hierarchy to create the flow. The node blueprint and the node is what we will gonna use to create basically the whole flow. Which scene gonna go first? If we are going to do a master plan and then building and then keep on, for example. So we create first the node blueprint, which is very similar to scene blueprint. We're gonna define there is a building. We will name it building A, the blueprint name, then the option, and use the scene we just created seconds ago, building 1. I'm gonna click OK, and then do the same in hierarchy. This is a part of the flow. This is again how and where we will set the whole flow of the application. So first will be the building. We create the building A, and we will use the node blueprint that I just created. Building A, and click OK. Then we're going to import our standard UI. So far, we have been using drag and drop to import all our assets, but we can use as well as some folder directories to do a single click import. We're going to copy these routes and go to local folders and paste the route to user interface. And we can just click on the user interface module and everything will be automatically imported. We can do this with a scene as well, with images, with FBX scene, with basically everything else. We can just set the folder route and just import it with one click. And we can do the first run. Now everything is launching. It's using the standard UI, which is downloadable from our help desk site, and we can see the scene we just created. We can move it around and see everything. So creating collisions and a basic flow. Now we are going to do basically the same, but with a key plan and with apartments, so we can move from the building and see some units in our applications. We're gonna create the key plan in the scene blueprint, create the name, define as well the image base. We're gonna name it KP1. And we're gonna create the scene as well, KP1, and use again the scene blueprint we just created. We're gonna create the name of the scene. of the view, which is a top view. In most of the interior views are almost always top views, so the user can see the distribution and the floor plan of the whole module. We're gonna drag and drop our key plan, or image of the key plan. And that's it for now. We're gonna come back to it a little bit later. So I'm gonna create another scene blueprint, which is a floor blueprint. I'm gonna call it APTA and do the same with the scene. Make sure there is a floor, and I'm using the same scene blueprint that I created. When going into the edit scene, I can create the view and drag and drop again the image I want, which is APTA. Perfect. I'm going to close both modules and go back to node blueprints and node hierarchy. So here I will create again the key plan, KP1, which is the node I will use in hierarchy. Create the name, use the scene, and click OK. I'm going to create the apartment as well. It is important to mention as well that there are two types of units, scene units and hierarchy units. We will see better this a couple of minutes later. Then I create the floor, which will hold this scene of the floor. Floor APTA, create the name and select the scene. I'm gonna close this. So in order for this to work, I'm gonna need collisions that will interpret the interaction of the user. So I'm gonna go back to building, to edit the scene, and we're gonna go to the image we want, which is the building image, and go to collisions. We click on collisions, and here is the scene where we can edit and trace all the splines destined for collisions. I'm gonna snap horizontally and vertically to make the creation easier. And I'm gonna start tracing the splines for the windows, for example. So once I finish the spline, I can or finish the spline completely or continue tracing another modules of the same spline and the same collision. Perfect. So for now, I'm gonna click on continue. Well, we defined already that our flow is building to key plan and from key plan to apartment. This is important to making the name because we have to use a name convention that is coherent inside the whole scenes and the whole application. So for the name of this spline, we need to use the key plan name / apartment name that we're going to use later. So once we finish with this, we can use then KP1, which is the name of our key plan / APTP1A. This is the name of the apartment that we're gonna create in the hierarchy layer. So again, key plan name / apartment name. Gonna click on continue and keep tracing the windows of this unit, which is basically the whole apartment unit on this building. And click OK to finish. We see the name is correctly. We can go back. In key plan, we have to do the same to trace the collisions so the key plan can go into the apartment. So we go to collisions again and start tracing the collisions for this apartment, which is the same apartment that I just traced on the building scene. This is very easy to do, this tracing. and I'm going to call it APTA. Just APTA. So we noticed that both names are quite different. In building, in the previous scene, we use APT-P1A, and in the key plan, we just use APTA. This is because in the pairing, in the node hierarchy, we're gonna pair these whole elements to attach each other. So in order to reuse the key plan scene and the APTA collision, we just created a generic name, and we can reuse this name for every other apartment. We can see this better a little bit later as well. So I go into node hierarchy. Remember that I have already created the node blueprints for all these scenes. And I'm going to create the key plan, which is KP1. Select the blueprint, and in this part to node address map is where the pairing will be created. So the part name is the collision name, so it's APTA, and node address will be the apartment name, which is APT-P1A. And this is where the pairing happens. This is where we assign the collision name APTA to the apartment, which is APT-P1A. Then we create the apartment, which have to be the same name, APT-1A, assign the blueprint, the apartment blueprint, and create the floor, which is the scene. In name, we can use whatever we want, and in the blueprint, we need to use the floor blueprint and node blueprint. So we're gonna go deeper in the scene nodes, which is the nodes there that have the scene defined. Those can be master plan, buildings, key plans, floors. In all those scenes, you can set up exactly what type of images of scenes or FEX scenes you want. In the unit and the unit nodes are nodes that are set up as a real estate unit. Those are apartment, offices, houses, common area, or parking spots. These unit nodes can be can have some properties that are unique, such as price, area, status, several unique properties that are modifiable by the admin. You can see all the properties available, and we can have a quick launch to see how it works. So we can click on the unit we traced, and we go inside the key plan. And if we click on the unit in the key plan, we go inside the floor plan of that unit. We can rotate it and inspect it. Okay, this was a basic flow. Now we're gonna configure all other features of the app, which are properties, list, and color modes. So, 1 second, please. Okay, now that we have a basic flow, we can start in more information, of course, to our app. Remember that from administration panel, we can configure in real time information for projects and units. So we are going to add some properties to our nodes. We can see how, for example, in the admin panel, we can set up some data fields. So in order to do that, we need to go to Node Blueprints and go to Edit, and here is where we will start to add type properties. So for this, we can have area. We can add number of bedrooms. and number of bedrooms. Type properties are properties that can be that are repeated among a lot of units. Probably there are structural properties that won't change, of course, because the number of rooms and bathrooms won't change. And is just to set one time in the admin panel. Then in hierarchy, I can add the unit properties. There are a lot of properties. We can add label, which is the name, the long name, short label, which is the short name, floor level, price in US dollar, and availability information and status. These all information that probably will gonna change according to the real estate selling process. Probably the price will change, the status will change, the name can change. So I'm gonna click OK. And I'm going to save. It is really important that if we don't save, all these properties won't be visible from the admin. So we always need to save so we can see the properties and the synchronization in the admin. Another thing is we can do before going to the admin is to set the preferred orientation. We're gonna set is portrait, and we can go to user interface and set the languages. I'm gonna use English and Spanish. This is because from admin we can set label for both languages. So we have to define which languages will use the application. Perfect. Now we have in admin panel, after saving, we can see there are three bars below, 3 buttons. Here we can see the type properties. We can see the area which we set, the baths and the beds. So we're gonna set these fields. Right now I am using, of course, random numbers so we can see better in the applications. In the price list are the unit properties. We remember we set up floor labels. We're gonna set the labels. Apartment A1. We're gonna set the label short. Just A1. Set up the price and set up the status.
One thing to keep in mind is that what you're seeing right now, which is the admin panel and the access to properties, this is all completely changeable in real time, of course, and this is where your real estate client is going to have access to, and they don't really need you to change things like, you know, names of the apartments, the exact square area of the apartments, you know, of course, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, all of these kinds of settings is going to be completely under control of your real estate client.
That's correct, yeah. And in advanced, we can set up more, of course, advanced settings for visualization, some other labels, and some other stuff in the engine. We can see this better a little bit later. So we're going to create the list, the first list. We will call it list 1 and leave it by default for now. But it's important that we assign it to the building, because if we don't assign it, it won't show. It's really important. We need to always assign the modules to the node blueprint, and we can come back to the list. So we start adding the nodes. What means this? The search for the properties will start with building A, which is the first seen in the hierarchy. So it's going to start in that. And we're going to define the search depth, which is the times that we'll go and search for properties in the hierarchy. We're going to see this right now. Like, for example, if we open hierarchy, we count building 1 and we count 1, 2, and 3. this is all the units where it will search for properties. Remember, this is a hierarchy, so if you add more elements to the hierarchy, it will, of course, affect this number. So this is fine right now. We're gonna add conditions. This will define which type of scene or assets we want to show in the list. And because we don't want, for example, the building to show on the list because it's something that it won't be sold, we're gonna use category and use apartment as a condition. That means only apartments, only units that are marked as apartment will show on the list. We can create even another condition, which can be a status if we want to show only available units in the list. This is optional. We can add as many conditions as we want. Then we can start adding the columns. The columns are ordered left to right. So we're just gonna add a label. We're gonna add floor level, status, and price. All these properties needs to have a valid field and valid data on the admin because otherwise it will show us empty. So we can run and test it. And there is our list. You can click on it and we can see our apartment A1 is showing as available and is showing the price. Now, the only thing we want to do right now is to change the column labels because it's showing right now just label, floor ID, status, and price USD, exactly as the properties is named. So we want to change that in more friendly names. For that, we need to save and go back to the admin, go into advanced, go into dev, and there is our list. So we can start just adding the labels and the languages for this list. We're just gonna call it price list. And set the label short, which will be the name of the button. This is just the name of the button and the price list. Now we can change each one of the columns. Instead of label, we just wanted to show unit. Then go back to the next one, which is just floor. The third one, which is status, and we're gonna call it availability. And the fourth one, which is price. We save everything and we can open again our application. So there is our name price list now, and all our labels for each column are changed to what we just said in the admin. Same with Spanish. Everything looks perfect. So we're gonna configure now the color modes, which will be the color when the user interacts with any of the units. We're gonna call it C mode 1. And we can see we have a couple of drop downs. This is to show certain colors according to certain user interactions. First is select, which is the color when the user click on it or select the unit. Then we have deselect, which is the color when the user don't have that unit selected. Then we have filter pass, which is the color when the filters that we're gonna set later find positive result for that filter. And the filter pass, which is exactly the opposite when the filter can't find any matching result of the filter. So for now, we're gonna just have a select color mode. We're just gonna use part 1, just simple part 2 and part 3 are some other collision elements that are used mostly in 3D applications. So I'm going to define only the part, which I want it to be just a simple white color. and go back to condition. So this, we can see, we can basically set condition for everything we want. So if we, for example, want to glow on white for unreleased apartments, we can set a condition there. Green for sold or red for sold, we can set all in this part. We will see this better later as well. I need to assign the color mode again to the node blueprint, and I will assign it as well to the key plan because they all have interaction features to it. I can test it. Now I click on it and there's a white color. And if I go to the key plan, there's a white color as well. Perfect. So let's say another features, galleries and specifications and filters. So for this part, we have already set up a couple of other views. We can see there are more images, more views. We have imported or side views for the building. We have a lot of other images. We have also created all the collisions. You can see there's a lot of collisions on each unit, on each view. And there's also a lot of other apartments in the hierarchy. This was basically the same process that I did in the previous minutes, just repeated over and over again to create the whole hierarchy and the rest of the scenes. Okay. So we're going to create the galleries, which we're going to use these first three modules, gallery images, so we can create the image and import it. Then we have gallery groups where we can create groups or categories to group a couple of images. For example, if we want to have 3 images in exterior, we can group it this way. And the gallery, which is the final gallery that we're gonna assign to the node blueprint. So I'm gonna create the first image, which will be called entrance. It is important to mention as well that we need to use the same name in the image name, in the JPEG name, and in the locator that we're gonna see later. Gonna add another one, front corner, and click OK. Then I'm just going to drag and drop the same images with the same name. Entrance, then front corner. These are exterior images, so I'm going to create a gallery group called exterior and add those 2 images. Then just create the gallery where I will set to show that group, exterior group. Click OK. Now, there are 2 types of galleries. This first gallery is the full interface gallery where we can see the whole, the full interface and several terms of the images. We can click on it and see it on full view. This is the regular gallery. Then there is the thumbnail gallery, which will show miniatures or thumbs of the images in the building, positioned perfectly in the building. And we can also click on those and have access to the full screen images. So we're gonna go to node blueprint, to building, and assign the gallery exterior, just the gallery. And I can run it just to test. There is our gallery icon. We can click on it and we can see our both images, and we can click on both of the images. Now, to have the thumb gallery activated, we have to create the locators, which will be the points where we want our images to show. So I'm gonna go to the building and click on locators. This is the scene. We click on edit scene, then select the image building and click on locators. And here we will simply click where we want the image, and we use the same name. And I want to be entrance, and create the second one, which is front corner. Click OK. These are the points where the thumbs will show. So that's it. I'm going to close it and assign it on the node blueprint again. I can deselect the gallery and set the thumbnail gallery to exterior. And click OK. So if I can just run it. We can see again our icon, and if we enable, there are our thumbs. We can click on it as well, and there will be the images. I can create another images, a couple of other images for pool A for the amenities, and we create another group called amenities, and select the image pool A. Set the same group to the gallery. So I want this same gallery to show both groups. And maybe I can add a 360 view. I can use this one. I go and create another image called APTA, and here is where I select that is a 360 view. I select the 360 view and just drag and drop the image to the editor. I'm going to create another group, view 360, and assign, of course, that image. Same with exterior, I add that group. And I can create another locators for those images I just created. I'm going to use here the view 360, this apartment. And I'm gonna select both gallery and thumbnail gallery just to see how it looks in both of the galleries. So here are my two icons. Here is the full interface gallery, which we see the three groups: exterior, amenities, and view 360. Those are just the groups that we assigned. And we have the thumbnail gallery where we can access our 360 views. So everything is quite fine. We can see the amenities and we can slide the whole images. Now I'm gonna add a specification section, which will be the project description. This is quite easy. Just create the section and create the specification and assign just the section we want. This information has to be set up in the admin. Remember that we need to assign it to the node blueprint. Everything we do in the editor, every module we use, we need to assign it into the desired node blueprint that we want. It won't show if we don't assign it. So I save, so everything goes to the admin and I can edit the specification. I can go to advanced, dev, specification, and we have all sections there. I'm going just to paste a lorem ipsum in the paragraph and just a sample title. We do the same for the bottom. Information. This is the name of the bottom. And we can do the same for the gallery. That we want to use some other names. We're gonna call it exterior to this gallery. And we can see and check first that in price list and in types, we have a couple of fields already set up. We have several units with names, with pricing, and with status. And this will be useful because we are gonna set now the filters. So in order for the filters to work, we need to make sure that we have all the fields configured and set up. So we're gonna go to editors, go to filters, and create the first filter, which will be the status. We don't want to use a slider property because that will use a slider in the interface, and we don't want that for status. We just want to highlight the status options for this building. So we're gonna skip this for now. And we're gonna mark that is ORED, which will group several filters into one big result. This is just for so we can have several filters activated and not toggle. So I'm gonna create a filter group to group all these filters I want. I'm gonna just call that filter group one. And create conditions, which will be, of course, that only shows apartments, category apartments, and click OK. Remember, well, now we can expect that we also created some other color modes. We can see there's a green for the condition available. There's a red for the condition sold. And there's a yellow for the condition reserved. This is so it shows different colors when we activate the filters, and the user can easily know according to colors which one of the units have each status. I need to add also the filters, of course, to the node blueprint. I'm gonna add the status, and we can run to test. There is a filter, we click on it, and there's a lot of status there. We can see the red are sold, the greens are available, and the yellow are reserved. All this information comes from the admin. That's why we checked the admin information before doing this. So I'm just gonna create another one, price. Which this one, because it will have a huge range of prices, I'm gonna set the slider property to price USD, because this will use a slider in fact, and group it with the same filter group one. Create a condition to show only apartments as well. And I'm gonna create another one that will be the rooms. We're gonna set the slider properties to bedrooms, number of bedrooms, and leave everything as it is. Gonna go to building node blueprint and add, of course, those filters. We can test now. And there are our 3 filters. We can activate status, we can activate rooms and filter by rooms, and we can activate price and filter by price. It is important to mention as well that all these icons comes from the standard UI. You don't need right now to modify any of this unless you want a customized interface, which you can do, of course. But right now, if you use the standard interface, it's not necessary. All the icons and all the information will appear as you assign it.
One note about the interface. So the interface is customizable, of course. We do provide a template that is drag and drop template. It just works, whatever settings you have. But of course, it's basically an Adobe Illustrator file that configures the user interface. So you have, if you do want to, and for some clients, you want to customize the user interface, you have complete control over all the graphics, the location of buttons on screen. All of that can be moved around and controlled by simply modifying and then re-importing the Adobe Illustrator file with the user interface template.
Correct. So the last part of the process is the map and location information. There are two types of maps. We can display the surroundings module of the editor, and there is the small scale map and the large scale map. The small scale map is the one that will have 3D assets. This is automatically generated once you use your own location information, like the coordinates. This is downloaded from the OpenStreetMap, which is an open source, and it's the same map that has the points of interest. For this, we need to use, even if it's a 2D interactive app, we need to use FBX files, which you can download as well from our help desk.
Just to make it clear, these FBX files for the map, they don't contain any of the geometry of the map. The only reason we have FBX files for the map is just that sometimes you want to mark certain, either you want to put a custom building that is, you know, something fancier than what's available on OpenStreetMap, or you want to cut out in certain area for whatever reason. It's basically for map customization, so to speak. But all of the map 3D model that you see in the applications, this is all automatically generated. It's automatic. You set the latitude, longitude, and the map is generated automatically with the 3D, with textures, and you know, we'll use light baking, so all the baking and everything's set up automatically for you. It's very easy. Just in the end, you basically set in the latitude, longitude, and you have the map completely done. And all the location points of interest, such as the restaurants, you know, the stuff that we were seeing before, this is all extracted automatically from the map as well. And of course, you have an option to customize those things as well. You can add an extra one or remove a certain thing. And that's actually controlled from the admin panel. So you can, you don't really need to go into the editor to do those kinds of operations.
Okay. Okay, so after we download, we can see, of course, that there is no map information on this scene, just a couple of splines that will define how the map will be generated. You can find more information about this in the help desk, but we can just use it as it is. We have a full surroundings documentation for this in the help desk that can help you better set this up. But it's really easy. You can just add a new map, which can be named as simple map. And these are basically the same configuration, the same blueprint setting as the scene blueprints. So we can set if we want to use latitude and longitude for architecture or use azimuth for architecture. We're gonna just click use azimuth, but we can mark 2, click OK, and we go to edit settings. And this is where we will basically paste our latitude and longitude, which is our coordinate. We can find this in any map service. Just click on what's here and extract the coordinates. We just simply copy this to latitude and copy this to longitude. This is the location information. This is the map information. Then we're just gonna set the extent, which is the extent of the map that the engine will automatically download. These units are in meters, so we're just gonna define that the map is 2 kilometers in each side. And we can add the points of interest. We can add first transport, and we can add maybe banking. We can add all the 9 points of interest that we have. We're just gonna set 2 for now, and we click on extract points of interest. This is automatically downloaded as well. And if we go to edit back again, we can see what extracted. In banking, it doesn't extract nothing. And we can see in transport, there are 3 points of interest. So because banking didn't extract nothing, we're gonna create a constant points of interest. We're just gonna name it near banking, near bank. And create another one, near bank to we save again. So we can configure and set this information in the admin. And we go in the admin to advanced dev map. And here is where we can modify or set another stuff on our points of interest. We have our near bank to our near bank custom points. So we can set that is you know, we can set the label. This is the display label when we activate the location button. And we can set the coordinates for it to show. And we can modify the extracted points of interest as well. We can decide if it's used or if it's not used. This is if we want to remove any of the custom points or the extracted points. We need to assign it as well. We assign it to no blueprint, small scale map. And we define the scene in a small scale map to be used as background. We define the same map. Then we have the large scale map, which will be the 2D map that shows when the camera goes far away. And we need to set up the extent bigger than the small scale. So we're gonna use 5,000. And use the same settings from architecture. We're going to import. This is having the FBX scene placed. So we just wait for the data to be downloaded and click on view. And this is the large map to be shown. We do the same. We assign it on the node blueprint in the map large. We assign the map large, and we can test and run. We have our 2 buttons there. We can see all our size. We click on map and we can see the map that is downloaded. If I click on banking, I see the custom point that I did. And if I click on transport, I see the other points of interest that is extracted. In location, I see first the small scale. Then if I go back, I see the 2D map. And then we can see the whole rest of the features. We can see the list, we can see the specification, the galleries. And with this, we can basically deliver a short demo for our clients with most of the features. After this process is done, we can click on save. It's important to have all the information saved on our cloud and trigger package. If we don't have any information saved on our servers, the package won't be triggered or be triggered incomplete. So it's really, really important that you always save first. So we click on package. It will ask us to confirm, and it will start to trigger in the package. This process will happen on our server in a couple of hours. Then you will receive the publish links via mail. And you can basically see the whole interaction. This is in browser, this is running on browser. We can inspect the app. We can see the whole unit. We can live configure and set up the price list, modify some status, some prices. And again, this modification is real time. We don't even have to download or load again the application. It will happen in real time, all the modifications in the admin panel. So if you have any questions regarding this process, we also have a full documented help desk. We have a community section where you can post your own questions. You can find several articles, several help documents. And well, that's it for this part of the question process. So let's start then with interactive 3D apps. I didn't create a video for this because the process is basically exactly the same. It's the same editor process. The only difference is, again, that you will use FBX files and not render files. The production times, of course, is a little bit more than the 2D apps because you need to create your 3D scenes using low poly techniques. So if you're rendering or using another type of scene, high poly scene, you won't be able to use that. You need to convert all your scenes to low poly techniques and use those scenes. We have support for Autodesk, 3ds Max, Maya, Blender, Cinema 4D, and what we need to import the scene are just FBX files. So basically all software that are able to export FBX files can work with hauzd. And of course, there's the difference in immersion for the end user, and all features available. A couple of recommendations when creating a 3D interactive app is, of course, use our help desk and community section. We can help you a lot on this process. It may seem hard, but it's not really that hard. So use our help whenever you can. Keep your poly count below 350,000 and your object count below 500. This count is per scene, not per project, important, per scene. We have in this sample scene, this is a building scene of sample project that it has only 2013 trees. Do not use high resolution texture map. Do not use tileable 2048 maps because the package process will be really slow, and when you go to web, it probably is not as fluid as you want. Use Atlas to group multiple maps. Use our low poly libraries. We have several libraries of low poly furnitures, assets that you can use for free. And there's another thing, our scripts are optional. We also have developed a couple of scripts to make your life easier for exporting, for creating walls, for example. The wall generation script can save you a lot of time because it creates all the name convention and it creates all the walls, windows, floors, but it's up to you. It's really up to you. We recommend it because it can make your life really, really easy.
Yeah, some studios, they don't, they like to do it themselves, which is completely fine. The one thing that we should notice, Sammy, if you can go to the previous slide, and one big difference actually, where we can definitely beat game engines is definitely graphics quality when it comes on web and mobile devices. Just being able to run in the web browser is something that, you know, most game engines right now are struggling. There's always running out of memory problem that persists. With our engine, we can handle very big master plans full of towers and full of apartments with no problems. Really, any project size can be handled. Any type of project, could be housing units, not a problem. And the lighting. So we definitely rely on baking light. That's how our engine runs everything really, really fast, even on low-end GPUs. But the nice thing is that we don't have any limits, obviously, on lighting. You can have as many lights, like that scene you can see in the screenshot. It has probably over 100 of light sources set up. And you know, they're all 200 light sources set up. They're all rendered and all look good. And there is baking process. The nice thing is that our software, you don't need to manually unwrap your meshes for baking. All of that is done completely automatic by our software. So it unwraps and prepares the whole scene, you know, counting the total scene budget for baking. Everything is taken care of automatically for you. After you bake the light, it takes for that kind of scene, depending on your computer, it will take about 10-20 minutes maybe to bake the light. It depends on scene complexity, on kind of computer you have. After you bake the light, you have real-time control of and you can still balance out the amount of direct light versus indirect light versus ambient light. You don't need to rebake and ambient occlusion. So you don't need to rebake your scene in order to still being able to tweak those things to get a final look of your scenes the way you want it to look. And one thing again, so after you are done with a 3D app or 2D app, doesn't matter. In order for you to publish it and to deliver it to your clients, all you need to do, it's one click. You basically trigger a backend process on our servers that will take care of all the hardware texture compression, all the optimizations. We have a very extensive optimizations happening on your project, where basically we analyze all of the scenes and we extract all the parts of the scenes that are the same, that repeat. And of course, we will only store that in the memory once. And so basically the result of all that work is that a typical project right now that people would publish, a medium-sized tower like this, in the total size of the package that the user would need to download in order to run the presentation, it's about 150 megabytes in size, the total package. And that includes everything, the exterior scenes, all of the floor plans, your gallery images, everything fits in with that 150 megabytes. And of course, when you're running it in the browser, that is being streamed. So you don't have to wait until the whole 150 megabyte gets downloaded. We actually stream information, textures, models, only of what you're actually looking at in the presentation.
Okay, great. We can now see a couple of presentations of previously created projects. This is 98 Front, a project created in New York. It has a lot.
So this, I believe this is, I don't know where this is recorded. Well, all applications look exactly the same on any device. So whatever you see, it runs on, like a mid-range Android phone. Starting with that, it looks exactly the same when running in web browser.
Yes. You can see it has a lot of the features, 360 images. All of the features are there, and yes, they are always available in all devices. This is a project in New York that is using currently CRM integration and is live on sale. We can go into each of the key of the plans, floor plans, amenities.
Of course, if it's a touch device, you don't really need to use those rotate buttons. We natively, our software was designed to work with touch devices, so it's really user friendly. You can pinch and zoom and rotate with using your two fingers very easily on a touch device.
Correct. You can see some points of interest, some healthcare points of interest. How the filters work. Bedrooms. You can filter by price as well. This will give the end user, the buyer, a great control and to go exactly to what they are looking for, what type of property they're looking to buy. You can select the available list options.
For this particular project, why our software has been so successful is because there's actually two sales teams deployed. One was deployed in New York office, and then there was another team deployed in China, selling to Chinese investors. And because our software is completely cloud-based, both teams had access to it, of course. and they were both shared the same information. Everything again is always up to date, right? There are CRM connections that can be set up. It's ready to go out of the box with major CRMs already. So never you are going to have things such as double selling happening in your projects, in your real estate clients.
The next one is Bahia Cristal. This is a project in Panama. This is an interactive app, a 2D application app, which have, again, all the same features. We can filter by zone. We have several filters here. This is a resort complex. And we can enter each one of the building, each one of the key plan, and see the units inside. This is a full 2D app, and it's doing the same work as with the app. You can see all the renders, regular renders. And yeah, basically all the regular features of a house app. We have galleries, some other views. This is a customized UI as well. This is what happens when you take the Illustrator file and you customize.
This one is a little bit acidic.
This is another one, Explora. This is another project in Panama. There are single houses. This is a big master plan. It has around 100 houses, I think, and several options per house. You can go as well into the floor plans, solid 3D, side view, and rotate. This project was created in around 2 months.
This was a big one. Yeah, I remember this one.
This is one of the biggest master plan we have. You can see there are a couple of floor plans, some options. So this is a quite complex project. The only limit to make a house project is just the device, because we can handle big master plans. We can handle several things, but we try to optimize the best we can just so we can run this project on a iPhone 5 or iPhone 6 or an old Android device. You can see the list and filter by list, sort ordering. You can see there are more properties, interior area, exterior area. There are as well the points of interest and the surrounding maps. This is another project, Oceana Surin. Do you remember where this project is located?
Yeah, I think this was Thailand, I think.
Okay. This is again a big master plan with several buildings where you can access each unit of each building. You can see dimensions, see several options, see the 3D part.
I think we're getting, we have about 20 minutes left. So if anyone has any questions, whoever's watching, you guys can ask them in the YouTube presentation, in the YouTube live link, and we can answer them here.
This one has a couple of images as gallery as well. This is so you can know that you can add your own renders and deliver a final product to your client that includes your own renders, your own material, his own material. This works as a big brochure of selling tool. There are around, I think, 5 buildings in this project, each one with several hundreds of properties. And this is running on web right now. So yeah, basically we can handle big projects and big master plans and still have it optimized for web or small devices or low-end devices. We have around more than 100 applications done with
It's
hauzd.
100 now. It's definitely over 150 actually.
Okay.
We're a relatively young company, but at the same time, you know, we already have over 150 projects published in our platform, and these are all, you know, major real estate development projects. So,
In more than 15 countries.
I think as far as geographies go, we have projects in about at least 15 different countries by now. We're still relatively new to like North American markets and to European markets, but we are having projects there as well nowadays. One thing that is a little bit of an experiment that is currently happening is, of course, we are interested in giving ability to users, to end buyers, to reserve their units online, directly online. And then we do have, right now we have one project, the first one that's going to have that kind of feature, but eventually it's going to be available for everyone, of course. Basically, it's not a complete real estate sale transaction, but it's just the reservation part, right? So that the unit is, you pay some fee and the unit is taken off market for the user.
Okay, we can move on to the next slide. So we have more features right now available. One is AR for iOS and Android devices. You can see a small video of this working.
And again, this is not something that you need to do really anything to set up. It's just going to work. If your app is run on iOS or Android, there will be the AR button that appears in UI. You click it and you're in AR mode. And it's basically the same experience, except you don't need to use your fingers to control the camera. You just basically move around. Things are projected on the flat surface in front of you, usually your desk, and you just move around to control the view, the virtual camera with your device.
Correct.
But it's basically the same stuff. It's the same scenes. All the features are all the same.
Yeah, correct. Then we have also virtual tours with 360 views. This is something you can achieve by placing different 360 views in your scenes and your scenes. So we can also see this video. If you activate the thumb gallery, you can see the 360 views and go inside one view. And the thumbs will be still available for you, so you can move between each image and create a virtual tour using those images. These 360 images needs to be rendered outside house. So you just import or drag and drop the images. Perfect. We have also CRM integrations. We have two types of integration. One is via Zapier. We use Zapier to connect with multiple CRM tools. So hauzd will synchronize with Zapier and with your CRM, of course, and you can have all your data synchronized between your CRM and hauzd applications in hauzd administration.
Yeah, this has to do with all those properties that you assign to units, right? The price, number of bedrooms, square area, you know, there's a lot of properties, and that list is growing all the time because we always get requests to add more things like, you know, taxes, maintenance fee, all of these properties. Of course, you can, if your client, your real estate client, is not using a CRM, those properties can be modified in our admin panel, the web-based admin panel. You just go there, your real estate client can just go there and enter and change whatever values that they like. But if they do have a CRM that they use, there are a few, you know, nowadays, I think it's becoming a really standard thing for real estate projects to use a CRM. We have out-of-the-box integrations with many CRM. Through Zapier, you can get all of these. And we also have a few that are direct, and we are constantly adding more. Yeah, so go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, we have, this is the second type of CRM integration, which is the API. This is something we need to develop on demand. We have so far Spark and Salesforce, which can connect directly to hauzd. No third-party integration, no third-party app. This is just from your CRM to hauzd. Okay.
When it comes to, like, what does it actually take, for example, for you to integrate with Spark, your project with Spark? It's just a matter of getting a username, let's say with read-only access to Spark CRM. And it's, again, there's no programming. You just enter the, you know, you say, I want Spark integration, enter the username. It's going to ask you to map properties. So there's going to be properties coming from Spark, and then you will have properties that are set up in hauzd. And it's just a matter of creating, you basically assigning through UI, assigning what maps to what is a unit, and then, you know, what is a square area, what is the price, and how they map. And that's it. It's all very straightforward and automatic.
Correct. So what's next from our side? We have on the roadmap of development PBR material support, which will increase, of course, the quality, the graphical quality of the projects. You can access this link, hauzd.com/PBR, so you can see a preview of it.
Yeah, that's just a small technical demo. Of course, our PBR support, it's definitely going to be the fastest PBR render out there. We are again taking advantage of the fact that the scenes are static. You know, the lighting is static. And that allows us to create very fast shaders to render fairly high quality PBR materials, full PBR materials. And that's coming approximately within 3 months. In about 3 months, we will be launching that.
Beautiful. We have also lead generations and forms inside the app, so your real estate client can get information of their leads, of their potential clients, and send and receive forms all inside the app. No other external links, everything always inside the app and inside admin. We have also video support, exactly as we do with galleries. We want to show YouTube videos or embedded videos or whatever you want in videos inside the applications, so exactly as we do with the galleries. We have day-night filters. This is something that you can achieve right now, but we want to simplify a little more to make it more easy to achieve for studios. Lens flare, atmospheric, and post-process settings to give another improvement to quality. And hauzd being for Revit, which is something Val can explain a little bit better what it's about.
Yeah. Do we have one more slide after this, Samuel?
No, we don't have a video.
Okay. Well, so just to kind of summarize, again, you can easily request a demo call with us. If you want to get started, of course, it's free of charge. We just, you know, give you a quick rundown of where things are, talk to you, find out who you are, where you're operating. Again, we have live support always available. when you're working on your projects, if you have any kind of questions, we do everything just from chat, and we can go all the way to have a video call if you want, and screen share and help you by hand to fix things up. This is we don't charge for this. This is all included as part of the license. And every project that you start, there's always a free trial period. I think it's 30 days, during which there is no license fee. You can just start a project and start working.
I have a quick video about the process, about the registering and requesting.
Yeah, I can go ahead and launch it. I think we still have a few minutes.
Yeah. So it's quite simple. If you want to start right now, just go and register at hauzd.com. You will find this form. You need to fill all the fields. In country, select your country, of course, your company name, and what type of industry are you in. If you are a 3D studio, an architect, a real estate developer, or real estate broker. This will help us to define you better and help you in the best way we can. So after this, you just need to confirm your mail and set up your password, and you can start creating your projects in admin.hauzd.com using those login data. Just go here and set your email and password and just log in. To create the project, it's really easy. Once you are inside Admin House, you have all these sections. You can download the engine and install it in your computer. This is the editor, not the viewer. You have a resource center.
It's only like 30, I think it's less than 35 megabytes in size to download the editor.
And you can create your project with just a couple of clicks. Just create your project name. Select your country. We'll use Canada.
Yeah, and you're ready to start.
And here is, you will also start with a 30 days free trial, and you can or buy subscription, start learning, or book a support card with us.
Sounds good. Well, I think that wraps it up for us. Thank you very much to everyone who's been watching. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to us. I think we've been answering questions. There were some questions on YouTube already. If you have any more questions, always welcome to reach out to us for a call. And thank you very much for watching.
Thanks a lot for participating, and thanks a lot again for this invitation.
Okay, guys, can you hear me?
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
guys? Okay,
yeah.
Thanks
a lot, Jason.
Thank you very much for this presentation.
Yeah, really.
It was really good.
If you want to unshare, stop sharing your screen now.
Yep.
I'll bring us back here too. There we go. Now we're all on the screen. Yeah, I saw that it looked like it worked pretty well to answer questions in the inside of the chat. I think you got quite a few questions. That's good, and I think it seems that you answered them great. Yeah, answered them well. People seemed happy with the answers. So, yeah, if anybody else has a question right now, please go ahead and ask right at this moment. We're almost ready to wrap it up, but if you have any right here at the end.
By the way, Val Dess answered questions, I can really tell that he's used to customer
support,
customer service.
Customer
well done,
questions.
man.
Great.
Yeah, you know how it is.
Okay, guys, I think it seems that there's not really any more questions. But since you've been answering them, I think that makes sense. Yeah. Once again, thank you so much for doing this workshop for us. It's a really interesting product and service that you guys have, and I'm sure that some of these people are going to try it out. So
thank you very much.
Maybe just one thing to those watching from home. If you have any feedback, or if you like to learn more from these guys, in case we were planning to do another workshop in the future, let us know what are the things that you would like to learn, so that we can discuss them with them and maybe bring you some more valuable content in the future.
And in the meantime, you can find all the information in the description This video will, of course, remain online as well if you're watching this later. And you feel free to get in touch with...
there is a very good question from Brian.
Okay, we have a question.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So the question is about if there's going to be free tier available to test out small personal projects. Yeah. So Brian, just reach out and talk to us. So again, all our projects have free 30-day trial. Doesn't matter the size. And then, you know, if you do have let's say you want to set up some kind of a showcase sample to go out and sell and to show to your potential clients. We can make that happen, definitely. So
great. Sounds good. All right.
All right.
Thanks
All right.
again. Hey, everyone out there who's watching, we will be back in about an hour.
About an hour with the first
just
speaker.
a little over an hour.
Yeah.
So
Don't say who that is.
I'm not going to say who it is. I don't know. I have to look at the schedule.
If you like this video, leave a like because it always helps. Thanks a lot at the guys from hauzd for doing this workshop. We will see each other later during the D2 online. Guys,
Definitely.
Good night, and thanks a lot for doing this.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
see you guys.
Bye. Thank you.
And see the rest of you later.
See you later.
Bye, guys.